Are you looking for a classic yet unstuffy cruise experience where you can get away from all the crowds and just kick back and relax? Do you prefer a smaller, more intimate cruise experience that focuses on enrichment and delectable food without the high price tag? Then join me and see if Holland America Zaandam is the right choice for your next cruise. Hi, I'm Tiffany from Destination for Vacation. Thanks for joining me. Those wanting to get away from the hustle and bustle of today's mega-sized cruise ships will probably find Holland America Zaandam to be a welcome alternative. First setting sail in 2000, Zaandam is one of the oldest and smallest ships in Holland America's fleet, with a total capacity of just 1,432 guests. But while the passenger count may be low, the ship is well designed to provide plenty of spaces for guests to curl up with a good book, engage in conversation over a cup of coffee with newly found friends, or simply enjoy some private moments while soaking in the sun. Holland America typically reuses ship names when new ships are ordered, and Zaandam is no exception. The current Zaandam is the third in Holland America's history. The first, a 474-passenger steam and sail-powered ship, was built in 1882 and sailed with the line for the next 15 years. The second Zaandam, a diesel-powered 160-passenger cargo liner, entered service in 1939. Tragically, it was torpedoed in 1942 during World War II and sank, resulting in a loss of 133 lives. Zaandam 3 was built in 2000 at the Fincantieri shipyard near Venice, Italy. With a top speed of 23 knots, about 26 miles per hour, she's part of Holland America's R class of ships and is structurally the same as her sister ship, the Volendam, which is the oldest ship in Holland America's current fleet, first setting sail in 1999. With decks 1 and 2 reserved for passenger cabins, as well as the ship's medical center, we'll start our ship tour with Deck 3, the lower Promenade deck. Thanks to her low passenger count, as well as an extensive renovation completed in 2018, Zaandam feels spacious and comfortable. Her public spaces are designed around a music theme, and nowhere else is this more apparent than in the heart of the ship's atrium, where it's hard to miss this very tall sculpture of a Dutch pipe organ, which was designed by the ship's architect and spans the atrium's full 3 decks. If you're lucky, you may even hear it play at different times on sea days when some of its characters also come to life. But even when it's standing still, it's an impressive sight to behold. Other nods to music can be found throughout the ship. Make sure to look for these guitars, signed by rock legends Queen, Santana, and the Rolling Stones, as well as the saxophone that has former U.S. President Bill Clinton's signature on its mouthpiece. Deck 3's atrium area hosts offices for some of the ship's officers, a small business area for guests with 2 computers and a printer, as well as 2 ornate wooden desks that provide a quiet area for engaging in a little friendly competition with your cruise partner. Nearby, you'll see a portrait of the ship's godmothers, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, from the 1990s hit TV series Full House. There are also pictures of the ship's christening, which you'll find on a higher deck. In the mornings, the outside wraparound deck is a popular spot for those looking to get their heart rates going with an invigorating walk, as well as other guests, like me, who would much rather imitate a sloth on one of the deck chairs and simply watch the waves pass by. The remainder of Deck 3 is reserved for passenger cabins. Take the atrium's curved stairs up and you'll soon reach Deck 4, the Promenade deck. Here's where you'll find guest services. Unlike on some ships, I never really observed Zaandam's guest services to be busy or crowded. Perhaps it's because Holland America's app, the Navigator, is quite user-friendly, allowing guests to easily keep tabs on their account and view the ship's daily itinerary. Internet services are supported by Starlink, and plans are priced according to how much speed you'll need. I found the internet to be consistently reliable and fast, regardless of the areas we were sailing in. Guests will also find the shore excursions desk in this area. All shore excursion tickets are stored in your wallet on the Navigator app, which makes checking in with a tour guide a breeze. Continue walking forward and you'll soon reach the main floor of the world stage, the ship's enrichment and entertainment hub. Holland America has a well-deserved reputation of providing high-quality programming that immerses guests in the destinations they're sailing to. Their outstanding series of Exploration Central Talks, which provide a hybrid presentation of regional stories that are told on film by local experts, that are then accompanied by live narration by the ship's cruise and travel director, are probably the best of any cruise line I've sailed with. We enjoyed 3 of these talks during our 11-night sailing. Magnificent Mexico, which provided an overview of the country, its people, and their rich stories. Dive into the Deep, which explored the history and adventures of cliff and pearl diving off of Mexico's coast. And The Great Empires, which highlighted Mexico's rich and varied past. In addition to talks that were specific to the region we were sailing in, 2 more were offered. Origin Story, which focuses on Holland America's first 150 years of sailing, and A City on the Sea, which provides passengers with a behind-the-scenes glimpse of the daily operations of the ship that typically go unnoticed by most guests. The world stage is also where the cruise and travel director usually presents the port talks, which are held the day before the ship is scheduled to dock at a particular location. Some cruise lines treat port talks as a sales pitch. They're essentially directing you to the stores in port that offer kickbacks to the cruise line. But fortunately, at least on my sailing, Zaandam's talks weren't like that. Instead, they were designed to present useful information so passengers would know what to expect when the ship arrived to port, popular sites they might want to see, and how they could quickly navigate from the ship to reach the areas they wanted to focus on while on shore. The World Stage also hosts other evening entertainment options, including comedy and magic shows, as well as singing. Exit the World Stage portside and you'll walk through the Photo Shop, a one-stop destination for all your photography needs during your cruise. Formal portraits can also be scheduled in the nearby Signature Studio. Just past that studio, you'll see the first of the ship's shops, Captain's Collection. Here you'll find a selection of Holland America themed merchandise, including cups, lanyards, clothing, and of course, Captain Louis. Just across the way, you'll reach the Wajang Theater, which offers cooking demonstrations during the day by the ship's talented executive chef, and shows a different movie each night. It's pretty rare to find indoor movie theaters on cruise ships these days, which I find to be more comfortable and less distracting than watching movies on the ship's outside deck. The movie selection over the course of our cruise was varied to appeal to the different ages and interests, and, of course, all were accompanied by freshly popped popcorn. Just next door is the ship's steakhouse, the Pinnacle Grill, which is a specialty dining option available at an additional charge. Our dinner cost $61.36 per person, which included taxes and gratuities. Here, you can start with tender crab cakes or a crisp wedge salad. Then, satisfy your inner carnivore with a juicy steak. I chose the filet, while my traveling partner opted for a thick ribeye. A variety of traditional steakhouse sides are available to choose from baked potatoes dressed as you like them, to creamed spinach, and even roasted beets with blue cheese. Once you've had your fill, why not top off that cholesterol fest with dessert? Baked Alaska, anyone? The Pinnacle Grill is also available for lunchtime dining on sea days at about half the price. During each sailing on the ship, the Pinnacle Grill is transformed at least one of the nights to host the Morimoto at Sea pop-up restaurant, which focuses on a menu of innovatively prepared seafood dishes with an Asian twist. Because this pop-up dining option is limited to just 1 or 2 nights over the course of the sailing, you'll probably want to make reservations as soon as they become available online prior to your cruise. Zaandam's complimentary main dining room is located on decks 4 and 5 aft. In the evenings, guests have a choice between dining at a consistent time each day on deck 5 or showing up as they wish, where they'll be seated on deck 4. A curving staircase connects the two, with twinkling lights above it to provide a little ambiance. The dining room is surrounded by windows on 3 sides, so guests can enjoy sweeping views of the sea as they savor the fine food. I really like how Holland America strives to immerse guests in the regions they're sailing to. During our cruise, every menu included at least one dish with a Mexican flair, along with offering more traditional and vegetarian options. On our first sea day, we enjoyed a hearty morning brunch in the main dining room. I opted for the mango and banana yogurt parfait, huevos rancheros, and the strawberry crema. Over the course of our cruise, I very enthusiastically tested more of the main dining room's south of the border options, like tostadas, enchiladas barbacoa, as well as their version of Mexican flan. Tea time is also offered at 3 p.m. on most sea days. Each table is served a 3-tiered tray. The traditional cucumber, egg salad, and salmon finger sandwiches were placed on the bottom tier. Soft, delectable scones and mini bundt cakes on the middle tier. The top tier was dedicated to sweets that reflected that day's particular theme. That's right, the theme of each tea time changes. One day, it's a traditional English tea time. The next, Dutch. Our third was Mexican. And the 4th day's tea time was Indonesian. So there was always a little thrill of anticipation, as you predicted what you might see on that top tier's plate the next time tea would be served. A new executive chef boarded with us in San Diego to start his contract with Zaandam, and I gotta tell you, I was very impressed with the food in the complimentary dining areas. Not only were they attractively presented, meals were well seasoned, served hot, and were consistently delicious. Diners in the complimentary main dining room also had the option of paying an additional charge and ordering a steak from the Pinnacle Grill or a specialty seafood dish created by Iron Chef Morimoto. But I never felt the need to do this, as I always enjoyed the complimentary options I had ordered. One night of our sailing was reserved for a traditional Dutch dinner, where I ordered hearty pea soup, steak tartare, and of course the hodgepodge clapstuck, which is a perfectly tender braised beef brisket accompanied by root vegetables and a butter gravy. For dessert, Tom Pounce, a delectable Dutch concoction of puff pastry, vanilla custard, and sweet royal icing. As you leave the main dining room, exit on deck 5, the upper Promenade deck, and you'll see the King's Room, which is now used throughout the day for unhosted meetups for guests who enjoy similar interests, like knitting, needlework, and mahjong. Or maybe you're more interested in bringing out your inner artist at the ship's art studio. Here you can take different classes each day to learn origami folding or just fine-tune your watercolor painting techniques. Just next door is my absolute favorite place on board the ship, the library, which makes you feel like you're browsing in a bookshop filled with all your favorite titles. Curl up in one of the comfortable chairs or walk a few steps over and order your favorite coffee-based drink at the library cafe. And then take it on over to the game room. Here you'll find a plethora of puzzles and board games to borrow and enjoy throughout your cruise. Simply choose a briefcase that contains your game of choice and find an open table that overlooks the ever-changing seascape while you enjoy some fierce competition. And the game theme continues just next door in the Hudson Room, where you can join in with your fellow passengers for some party bridge play. But if you have a different kind of gaming in mind, then continue on until you reach the ship's casino, located midship. Here you'll find a small selection of slot machines as well as some table games where you can engage in that time-tested folly of trying to beat the odds. Mick's Bar is conveniently located adjacent to the casino, so after depleting all the money in your bank accounts, you can simply walk on over and start drowning out your sorrows with your favorite drink of choice. Mick's is actually a trio of bars. Here, you can order your favorite spirit or draft beer and watch today's game on the TV. Or stroll on over to this area and satisfy your inner James Bond by ordering a martini. Shaken, not stirred. If wine is more your style, then just walk a few steps over and you're sure to see something you like here. During the day, this area also hosts beer and whiskey tasting as well as mixology classes. At night, it's a popular spot to enjoy live piano music and singing. If you prefer a little dancing with your live music, then head on over to Ocean Bar, located on Deck 5 midship, right next to the atrium. In the evenings, this area hosts a live band where you can dance to popular hits. Or just sit back and relax in the plush seating and enjoy one of the bar's specialty cocktails. Of course, you can always while away a little time in the ship's various shops. In addition to the captain's collection on Deck 4, you'll find additional opportunities to open up your wallet on Deck 5, like this clothing and souvenir boutique, which sits directly across from the Ocean Bar. And of course, the ship has a duty-free shop that sells cigars, cigarettes, liquor, and commonly used remedies. Just be forewarned about pricing for any selection involving sugar. I wouldn't want you to have to make an unexpected trip to the ship's medical center due to sticker shock. Across from Mick's Bar is another shopping area, one selling cosmetics, perfume, and purses, as well as a shop selling jewelry and watches. If you have deep pockets, stroll a little bit further aft and you'll find Marabella, a more intimate setting that sells higher-end pieces. This is also the location of the Explorer's Lounge, which used to house musical performances by Lincoln Center Stage, but is now primarily used for just 1 or 2 talks each day. During our cruise, we attended some of the cruise director's coffee talks. where a member of the staff was invited to share a little bit about their role on the ship. This included the executive chef, the food and beverage director, and even the finance manager. I enjoyed attending these talks because I learned something about the ship's operation from each one of them. Just steps away is the Future Cruises area, where you can find informational pamphlets about upcoming voyages and inquire about pricing for a specific cruise. Even if you don't plan on booking another cruise while on your sailing, do stop by this area to admire some of the artifacts, as they're quite interesting. Decks 6 and 7 are reserved for passenger cabins, so let's head on up to the Lido deck, Deck 8. This is a popular area throughout the day, and it hosts the ship's 2 pools. At the aft of the ship, you'll find the aptly named Sea View Pool. Besides offering spectacular views of the ship's wake, you'll also find that you're in very good company as you dip your toes in the water. And since you're already there, it certainly wouldn't hurt to order a frosty pina colada from the nearby Seaview Bar. You can also sign up for the bar hopping event, where, for a fee, you'll visit several of the ship's bars to enjoy signature drinks and lively activities, such as this memorable one. Each time the ship leaves port, you'll also find a small pop-up bar that sells specialty drinks that change from port to port. Now it's time to head inside and go to the only place in the world it makes perfect sense to have a chicken enchilada, some tiki masala, a slice of brisket, an egg salad mini sandwich, a couple of California rolls, and a slice of hot pepperoni pizza. All share the same plate. Jackpot! You've reached the Lido Buffet. While somewhat smaller than other ships' buffets, this is by far the best tasting buffet I've visited since cruising resumed after the pandemic. Whereas some cruise lines clearly have been making cuts to their complimentary dining options to increase revenue, both Zaandam's main dining room and its Lido Buffet simply couldn't be beat. Breads were soft and pillowy. Guests could choose fruits that are rarely seen on a cruise ship, such as dragon fruit, papaya, and even lychee. Home-style selections were well-seasoned and offered an interesting variety each day. And of course, there were the usual specialty stations, such as customized salads and pastas, sandwiches, cheesy pizzas, and an Asian food station that included a variety of sushi and sashimi during lunch. And let's not forget about the ever-important dessert station. Carrot cake in a jar, anyone? Here, you'll also find the sweet spot, offering soft serve and hand-scooped ice cream topped to your liking, or served simply in a freshly made waffle cone. The food and dining staff really went all out on this cruise, deservedly taking great pride in their creations. While there were Mexican-themed dishes on the menu every day at the buffet, on one of the sailing days, the cooks went full-out Mexican with their menu, offering some very unique and eye-catching choices. And on one day, one of the stations was completely devoted to celebrating Indian cuisine. While the Lido Buffet certainly got busy, it never felt overcrowded, and the food was always refreshed and attractively displayed. It helps that food is often plated for the guests, which keeps the buffet much more sanitary and visually appealing. On one of our last sea days, I felt a level of stress that I've never known. For that was the day that Zaandam's pastry chefs decided to leave us with some very sweet memories of our sailing with this awe-inspiring cake station. Just look at these beauties. Talk about impossible decisions. How in the world could I limit my choice to just a slice or two? Spoiler alert, I didn't. But I was in very good company. Since Zaandam was built before specialty dining options became a thing, a dedicated space is reserved within the Lido Buffet to host the line's Italian specialty dining option, Canaletto's, which is open nightly for dinner. Step outside the buffet and you'll find the second of the ship's pools, the Lido Pool. This area is climate controlled thanks to the ship's massive magradome, a sliding glass and steel dome that can be opened or closed depending on the weather. Admire the bronze sculpture of dolphins while lazily floating around the pool. Or work out those muscle kinks from carrying those 8 slices of cake as you relax in one of the 2 nearby jacuzzis. On rough sea days, the Lido pool also informally serves as a wave pool. Nearby, there's plenty of comfortable seating options to eat your buffet lunch al fresco and have conversations with fellow passengers. In the evenings, this area is used for ship parties like the line's signature orange party. As well as special events like Carnival Night. Grab a drink at the Lido bar or head towards the other end of the pool for a different kind of bar, the Dive-In Burger and Hot Dog Bar. Eating that much food is a lot of work. If you're like me, you'll probably be way too exhausted to visit the ship's well-equipped fitness center, which offers a variety of cardiovascular and weight machines, as well as daily stretching and yoga classes. But why put yourself through all that, when instead you can let someone else do all the work and treat yourself at the nearby greenhouse spa? Here, you can change up your hairstyle, get a mani-pedi, and then select from a variety of massage and facial treatments. Follow that up with a little dry heat in the sauna. Or enjoy some extended me time in the thermal suite. Compared to other thermal spas, Zaandam's is a bit on the smaller side, with a steam room, rainforest shower, infrared sauna, and heated tile loungers. The spa calls this a hydro pool, which is kind of reminiscent of that you say tomato, I say tomato line. You say hydro pool, I say lukewarm jacuzzi. Thermal spa goers can step outside the door and relax on this secluded deck, which is located directly over the bridge. So you have some pretty fantastic views around the ship. Just one deck up is Deck 9's Sports Deck, which is a great spot for wildlife viewing and picture taking. Here you can also get a close-up view of the workings of the ship's magradome. Of course, the sports deck is also dedicated to activities that keep your heart pumping. Burn off some of those calories from last night's chocolate extravaganza on the deck's jogging track, which encircles the magradome. Play a game of basketball. Or perhaps pickleball is more your style. In addition to pickup games, classes are held throughout the cruise. And what's a ship without shuffleboard? This is also where you'll find the ship's kids clubs. Simply look for the twin butterflies that light up your way. Another popular spot on this deck is the Crow's Nest, which is located on Deck 9 forward. Here you'll find a spacious observation area with comfortable seating that's perfect for enjoying panoramic views through its wall of windows. Guests can also enjoy a variety of activities throughout the day here, including trivia competitions and ballroom dancing. The Crow's Nest Cafe features a bar that serves coffee and espresso drinks in the morning, as well as more potent potions as the day progresses. It's a great spot to sip on refreshments and socialize with your fellow travelers, or simply lean back and let the serene sea vistas mesmerize you. The highest deck on the ship, the Sky Deck, is located on Deck 10, a large open space that surrounds the radio mast platform. It's protected by a wall of windows. It's a quiet area that's perfect for those seeking a little peace and solitude as they bathe in the sun's rays. Zipping around from deck to deck is never an issue, given the efficiency of Zaandam's elevators. Rarely did I wait more than a minute to catch one, and conveniently, each elevator is named. The name of this one is Tuesday. Of course, the day before, I think it was named Monday. I can't keep track. The elevators' names just seem to change from day to day. And in addition to all the fresh flowers you'll find throughout the ship, there's plenty of art to admire in the ship's nooks and crannies, so be sure to walk around and admire the various treasures. And don't miss the forward and aft stairwells of Deck 1, where you'll find plaques celebrating Zaandam's inaugural visits to ports throughout the world. I'd like to pause here just for a moment to ask you a favor. If you've enjoyed this video and have found it helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, as it really does help to increase visibility for videos of small channels like mine. You might even consider hitting that notification bell so you're the first to know when another ship tour video is released. Thanks for your consideration. During our sailing, we stayed in an Oceanview cabin on Deck 1, the Dolphin Deck. Cabin 1925 was located aft. While our stateroom's decor certainly wasn't sleek nor modern, as seems to be the trend these days, the cabin was spacious and comfortable, with more than enough storage space to ensure a pleasant stay. The first thing you might notice when walking into this cabin is its large window, which lets in plenty of natural light and allows a good view of the passing scenery. Since I was cruising with a dear family friend, we asked to have the beds separated into two twins. Each bed was topped with a duvet and included 2 pillows. We both found our mattresses comfortable. We each had one nightstand and a reading light. There's the convenience of switching off the cabin's lights from your bed, but if your beds are separated, as ours were, the switches are awkwardly placed right above where your head will rest. There was more than one night when I accidentally turned on a light as I was readjusting my pillow while sleeping. I found the trick in avoiding this is to keep one of the pillows propped up against this section and use only the second pillow to sleep with. But when the beds are combined, this won't be an issue. The cabin had a small sofa, coffee table, and a unit with additional storage space. There was a vanity area with 3 large drawers, a chair, and the only electrical outlets for the room, 2 US outlets and 2 European ones. There was no mini fridge in the room, but there was an ice bucket and tray, so you could request ice from your cabin steward if needed. There were also 2 bottles of water and 2 cans of Coke available for purchase nearby. The room's flat-screen TV was placed on a shelf above the vanity area. There were 4 separate closets, offering ample storage space for our 2 full-size suitcases and all our belongings. The room's safe wasn't very wide, but it was deep, allowing us to easily secure our wallets, jewelry, and passports with extra room to spare. As a thoughtful touch, guests were also provided with deck chair blankets, beach towels, robes, and even an umbrella. There were more than enough wooden hangers for all our clothes, and there were an additional 4 hooks on the outside walls to hang up backpacks, coats, and purses. The amount of storage seemed luxurious for an Oceanview cabin and was certainly appreciated. The room had a motion sensor nightlight under one of the closets that turned on as you approached the bathroom. The light was enough to guide your path, but not so jarring as to wake up others in the cabin. Our bathroom, while spacious for this type of cabin, was in some serious need of updating. The pink tiling, which seemed to be lifting off the walls in some areas, was quite outdated. We had a shower-bath combo, and the bathtub's surface, while very clean, certainly showed its age. The shower curtain did its job, and water pressure and temperature were consistently good. Communal shampoo, conditioner, and body wash containers were filled with Elemis products, leaving the room with a pleasant scent whenever they were used. There was plenty of space for hanging our towels, since 4 different racks were provided. One section of the bathroom's mirrored vanity opened up for storage of toiletries. In addition, there was a long shelf under the sink to store other odds and ends. There were 2 different soap holders, as well as 2 drinking glasses. And then there was this relic, a hairdryer straight out of 1983. Fortunately, a more modern hairdryer was provided in the top drawer of the bedroom's vanity. Unlike some other cruise lines that have cut back cabin service to just once a day, we had service twice a day. I like how Holland America assigns 2 stewards at a time. Ours were able to service our stateroom in the blink of an eye and kept it spotlessly clean. And there were always little thoughtful touches left behind that reminded us that good service standards haven't completely disappeared. So, will you enjoy sailing on Holland America Zaandam? Well, if the idea of a classic cruise experience has more appeal to you than those adrenaline-rushing amenities that are becoming more and more common these days on cruise ships, then Zaandam is a perfect choice. While she certainly offers activities throughout the day, they're of the more traditional, or some might even say retro, variety. Trivia, bingo, ballroom dancing, movies, games, and enrichment talks. Zaandam is designed for a peaceful and relaxing cruising experience, so it's the perfect choice if you're looking to step away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. If you prefer spending more time actually enjoying your cruise than trying to predict busy times so you can avoid the crowds, you simply can't beat Zaandam. With less than 1/4 of the number of passengers that sail on many of today's other cruise ships, you can pretty much show up to anything last minute and you're still going to find a seat. And thanks to the efficiency of the ship's officers, boarding and disembarking the ship at each port was a breeze. I can't stress enough how relaxing our entire sailing was. And with such a low passenger count, striking up conversations with fellow guests and getting to know each other was easy. If you prefer a ship that caters to a younger crowd, then you're probably going to want to choose a different ship. Holland America's traditional clientele tends to skew a bit older than on lines like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, and the onboard amenities and entertainment options will reflect this. For this particular sailing, the average age seemed to be somewhere in the 70s. For me, this was an advantage because the passengers were considerate, patient, and inquisitive. Not to say there weren't families on this sailing, there were, and they seemed to be enjoying themselves. But this ship is for those who enjoy a bit more of a, say, sedate cruising environment. If a wide variety of entertainment options are important to you and you like to keep very busy, then Zaandam may not be your best choice. While I found there were plenty of options that interested me in the morning, I can't say the same after about 2 p.m. I do feel like the schedule of afternoon and evening entertainment options had some room for improvement. Like any ship, the comedians were a bit of a hit and miss. In terms of musical performances, the in-house productions by the World Stage Repertory Company were a far cry from the quality of the performances you used to be able to see on Holland America sailings when the line partnered with Lincoln Center Stage. If you find enrichment talks and demonstrations entertaining, then you're going to love the offerings on Zaandam. My only complaint? I wish there were more of them each day. As I said before, I think that Holland America stands out from the other major cruise lines in providing immersive programming on board the ships. So, if that's important for you, this ship will be a perfect fit. Is the quality of the offerings in the complimentary dining areas really important to you? Then I think you're going to really enjoy sailing on Zaandam, especially if the ship has the same executive chef we had. I was simply blown away by the choices and taste of the food in the main dining room and buffet. It was, quite possibly, the best I've ever had in the complimentary dining areas of any of the major cruise lines I've sailed with. In fact, the food was so good that I ended up canceling 2 of our specialty dining reservations. Don't worry, Holland America, I still spent that money on board the ship, just not on food. There was no need. Are you tired of being nickeled and dimed just to be able to have a good onboard experience? Given today's times, there are certainly upselling opportunities on Zaandam, but they're pretty low-key. Like any ship, you have the option to purchase specialty dining, tasting events, internet access, and spa experiences. But you can have a perfectly enjoyable cruise without them. So, would I sail on Holland America Zaandam again? Absolutely. Given its small size, it was so easy to get where I wanted to go, do what I wanted to do, see what I wanted to see, whenever the whim hit me. I think this was one of the most relaxing cruises I've ever been on. No crowds, no hustle and bustle, just people enjoying the moment. And I love having a spacious cabin size where you didn't feel like you were constantly running into each other. Kinda reminiscent of how cruising on most lines used to be. Yes, I was among the younger crowd on the ship, but that didn't bother me. And sure, some of the entertainment options just didn't appeal to my interests, but that's going to happen on any ship. And in my mind, the ship's library and EXC talks more than made up for this. Our cabin was spacious and comfortable. The entire ship was kept spotlessly clean. People weren't afraid of leaning over and striking up a conversation, and the ship's staff were phenomenal, professional, and attentive to even the smallest details while making you feel very special. And to me, those little touches that Holland America tends to add to your cruise really add up to a memorable experience. Have you sailed on Zaandam? What was your experience like? Please be sure to leave a comment and let me know. Thanks for watching. I hope you can join me again soon in one of these videos. Until then, here's hoping that your next adventure is just around the corner.